Okay, welcome today to Studio Sunday. We're going to be going into the art building, the Universe Reserve at Utah State to see and talk to Ben Nathan and see what he's been working on. We're going to ask some questions and hopefully get some answers if he's willing to talk. Right, Ben?
Sure.
All right, let's go.
Welcome to the spacious halls of the University Reserve.
Where there's plenty of room for one person to walk down the hallway.
And a stroller. Come on in. Here's my giant studio.
How are you today, Ben?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah. I've got some questions for you. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. Where are you from and how does that affect your work?
I am from Green River, Wyoming. I wasn't born there, but I grew up there, and that's where I think I made the most impactful memories that I have really had en masse up to this point in my life. And interesting that you should ask about how that affects my work, but that's literally what I make. The art that I make, that's what I make it about, is about occurrences and memories and places of import or significance from my childhood, and thinking about how those things have kind of affected me and how I view myself and my own identity, and then also thinking about how I see those certain behaviors reflected in
Mommy, I can't
in
hear.
my son or my daughter and in my own kids now that they're kind of in starting to grow up and making memories of their own.
And who are your biggest artistic influences?
Those movements, like artistic movements and things that are influences of mine, they're more just that, like things that I look at and get inspiration for, what I call my visual vocabulary. As far as artists go, it's kind of hard for me to have a lot of artists. I mean, I have a lot of artists that I look at and whose certain things that they've made in one body of work or another do influence where I go. But for the most part, I like to just kind of focus on presenting my hand. So just the unique quirks that are me and how I draw things and paint things or print things. And I just kind of like to present that. But I have more influences, but I wasn't necessarily prepared for this question, so I'd have to go through my notes and look back at kind of more people's specific work. It's more of a thing where I know it when I see it versus I know their name and that sort of thing. I've always been bad at names and remembering that.
So in other words, this question is to be continued because you
you can ask me this question every time we have this segment.
Perfect.
And I'll have something ready next time.
So Ben, tell me about your favorite medium. Does it seem obvious looking around?
I don't know what you mean by that, but that is a difficult question. As far as media goes, I don't know. We don't have one. I think if I had to break it down to simplify it to something fundamental, it would probably be drawing. So I rely on my ability to draw things as a structure for really anything that I make, and whether that's my ability to render something kind of believably or realistically, or whether that's just formal kind of building blocks of drawing, so like hatching or cross hatching or quality of line. I think drawing comes into things a lot, so I do lots of mixed media approaches to things though, so drawing and painting, and then those get kind combined with printmaking. That's currently I'm here at Utah State University, working on my Master of Fine Arts degree in printmaking. So there's definitely a lot of printmaking, whether that's through silkscreen printing or intaglio printing, which is kind of my bread and butter when it comes to printmaking. But then just other forms of printmaking as well. Those find their way into the work, and I just like to respond and do lots of layers. So maybe draw a little bit and then print on top of that, and then kind of color in some things from that composition, and then maybe add some paint of a certain color or a certain quality to a print, and maybe print on it again. So I'm working on 4 memory event type things. I say that because I'm trying not to back myself into a corner when I'm selecting the content or like the inspiration for the memories that I'm working with, by making it a singular event and trying to think of more like occurrences that happened on a daily basis or on a more frequent basis, so that I can combine kind of memories of repeated occurrences of things in certain places or events. This one is specifically about walking home from school. When I went to 2 elementary schools, but the first one I went to, Harrison Elementary. There was, there's just a lot of things about it, but I would often, pretty much every day, I would ride the bus to school in the morning, but then I would walk home after school, and I had a friend. His name was Jace, and Jace and I would walk home, and there was a drainage ditch all running up the hill that we would walk up, and there were just all sorts of rocks and rusted bolts and lug nuts and just stuff that had been washed through the drainage ditch, and we would spend literally hours, like 1 or 2 hours, or sometimes 3 hours, then our moms would get worried because we didn't come home, but we'd spend a very long time walking home after school. Just kind of adventuring in those pretty like ordinary, even gross or ugly spaces, but for us they were just these fascinating spaces. And then also, like, there was just other parts to that. So maybe if you found a quarter, then I lived just down the street from the only grocery store in town, and so I'd pass it on the way home. So maybe if I found a quarter in the gutter or something, then I could go visit the quarter machines and get myself a gumball or a sticky hand or something, and then that would be a really exciting event for a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old. So I'm just kind of thinking about those memories with these. And then, like I said, as far as this kind of body of work goes, I'm gonna work on some other memories as well.
Do the colors have any significance?
Yeah, I always go back to this red color. I mean, it's here, it's there, it's in that one right there, and that one, and those. Like, this red orange color is, well, for one, it's a color that I really like, but then also for some reason in my mind I associate that color with Sweetwater County, which is where I grew up, Green River. It's just like, to me it feels like the color that is that space. Like, maybe if it's hazy or dusty, maybe this is kind of the color that you see in the air, or this. And so working with that, people often interpret my work. Oh, whoops. People often interpret my work when they see the colors as like, with knowing that I work with childhood memories and things, they often think, oh, so he's dealing with some kind of trauma or anger or pent up things that are, negative. But for me, that's not what the red is at all. That's just very representational or indicative of kind of that part of Wyoming. And it is right next door to Green River is Rock Springs, and right outside of Rock Springs is you're in the red desert. So there really are rocks and sand and dirt that are kind of these colors, and I think that that's where that comes from.
Is there anything you want to point out?
I actually see it a lot better in this, because the process here, I had all sorts of different drawings and things going on, but I actually drew this first here and then took a photo of it, edited it a little bit in Photoshop, and then used that smaller version of that, printed a transparency and exposed it onto a copper plate with this special photographic film, so that I could etch the exact same thing here onto the plate.
Do you have the plate here?
No, they're in my other studio area, sorry. But right here there's just like a nonsense candy sort of thing there. I was thinking of like in these quarter machines it always seemed just kind of like asking for a mess, but there's always like ones that have M&Ms or Mike and Ike's or just loose candies in them, and you get an allotted amount for 25 cents. But I didn't want to use like those types of brand names because those weren't important to me. And so instead this one I put PD Pies, just thinking of like, a throwaway little candy. But PD Pie was actually a nickname that my dad made up for my little sister when she was really little. She's my next sibling that's right after me, just 2 years younger. So, I had a lot of adventures with PD Pie, including like most every day that I walked home from the time she started in kindergarten at Harrison as well. We'd walk home together, and I probably almost every day would say, okay, just walk home the rest of the way. Emma, me and Jace are looking for rocks or whatever we were looking for. So that's kind of a little shout out to my sister. And then on this one, which is again just kind of like the idea of a candy going on in there, but the brand name there is 715 Sundance, which is the address of the house that I grew up in. So there's just like a couple little hints of more significance. Also, the sticky hands. One time I found a sticky hand, like they're stretchy, sticky slime kind of. I don't know like what they're made of, but from back in the day, you'd hook one end on your finger and like throw it, and you can grab a piece of paper off of a desk or like smack your friends with them. So one day I found a blue sticky hand still in the little bubble thing that you get when you get them out of the quarter machine. It was all intact, and I was really pumped on that because those usually cost 50 cents, and you better believe I didn't have 50 cents ever. So I found one, and I actually went home and I was so excited about it. And
Daddy?
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
You're hungry?
Yeah.
Oh.
What are you walking? How come you can walk on your drawings?
Because he's performing. It's performance art. Anyway, I went home, and it was the time of year there in Green River and in lots of places throughout the country. I know there's young authors programs, which are like just little things usually done within school districts for students to write stories, and then they're judged and they receive awards based on, like, the winners get awards and some recognition. So it was a time of year to be writing your young author's story, and I was so hyped on this sticky hand that I found that I got home and my mom was like, well, why don't we write a story about that? So I wrote my entire young author story just about this kind of fictional take on me finding this giant blue sticky hand that was so awesome and could lift up cars and things like that. So just lots of fun little memories about things that are of small consequences, little things that become really huge things in the view or in the mind's eye of a little kid, I guess. Right. And this one, I mean, there's different things about it that are good and bad, but this one has actual dirt from Green River where I grew up glued in right there. So you could sniff it and it would smell like Green River, which I think is a fun idea.
That was cool. All right, thanks for visiting today with Ben in his studio. It's been a studio visit Sunday studio visit, and we'll catch you guys next time. Bye.
I really like this chair because it's based on a chair I had when I was a kid, and I know lots of people my age had these, but then I made it a little bit bigger, so this is like how big the chair would be to me if I was this big when I was a kid, and it was proportional, so like they're a lot smaller in real life. So I just like that one.
Hey, come on in, Brody. What do you see?
I see a painting.
A paintings of what?
Do you like the paintings, Brody?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Hey, Brody, I can't tell which way you're walking.
Your shirt's on backwards.
And your pants.
Yeah.
Wait, which one's your favorite?
Orange steering wheels.
Orange with steering wheels.
Which one's that?
That one.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that.
With that.